What's up, it's Joe with OCDetailing, and this is a very strange looking car behind me. It's a Hyundai IONIQ 5, and I want to talk about some of the features and the way it looks, just because it's really cool. I've seen these things driving around. This is the first one I had in the shop, and all I could think about when I looked at this car was like, I'm kind of old, so I grew up in the 80s and 90s. They always had concept cars that never made it to fruition. They would be these like super sharp points, like slotted vents and slide grills, and I think whoever designed this car probably was around my age and wanted to see one of those cars come to life and got the opportunity with this thing, and it came out spectacular. I don't know anything about how this car drives. I don't know anything about the range on it. I honestly don't know much about it at all, other than it looks really cool, so we're going to talk about what I think about the way it looks just for you. So I'm going to start with the front end of this car. It's got these Tetris looking headlights. So I'm assuming those are Tetris LEDs and matrix headlights, which is pretty awesome. And I'm guessing almost every option on this car comes standard. Whereas if you were to buy, I don't know, any Porsche, Mercedes, any German car, they would charge you 10 grand for this kind of setup and then make you wait 3 years for the car. But this car comes with it because it's a Hyundai and they're known for just loading these things up. It's one of the things I do notice when we get these in the shop every now and then is that they come fully decked. It looks really cool. Let's look at the side of it. It's got these aggressive wheel arches that actually have lines in it. I've never seen another car really do that, and it's neat. It makes the car look pretty cool. And then you have these very reminiscent of like a 1990s Ferrari Testarossa, maybe a 346 TS. The lines on the side, right? That's what that feels like to me. And then it's so boxy and pointed, like everything's like sharp, and it just, again, reminds me of a concept car from the 90s. I was actually pulling pictures up and showing them to Alex. I was like, see, somebody's childhood dream was to build this car, and this is what we were given. So it's really a neat thing that somebody actually did that. And then, you know, with an electric car, they want them to be as aerodynamic as possible, so I'm sure all this stuff is functional. There's some engineer somewhere, again, that probably had a thing for 80s concept cars that went through and made sure all of this stuff was designed to channel wind, so this car got better range. That's why a really common theme you see on the electric cars is the door handles that sit flush with the car. They don't stick out. And then you also see a lot of the stuff that makes you think better drag coefficient. Now that I think about it, I bet that's what this does for some way or somehow. Also, looking at the wheels, it's got the big covers on the wheels, right? This isn't a cover. This is actually what the rim looks like. It's this big star, but notice that almost all the surface area is covered. I see that a lot with the aero wheels on Teslas and like the Lucids or you know, the other EVs. They put wheels like this on there to help increase range. So I'm sure this car, the big goal for it is practicality and range. And then it just looks cool. Like I'm still happy looking at it. Here's where your charge door is. You got a little button there. Now I don't know how to use. It doesn't have a clapper. They weren't that much of an 80s fan. Also back here, you know, you got a very cool, again with the Tetris theme headlight or taillights. I noticed that some of these are opaque and some of these are not. I'm guessing the ones that are not light up, but I would imagine the whole thing does. We can check that out in a second. As far as back here, so I noticed this just a second ago, we were trying to open the trunk and we're like, how do you do this? And we had to do it with a key, but I found the button. So opening the trunk, maybe one dead body? If you fold them in half, two? Or stack them, two? You can fit back here, but it's got a lot of room. I mean, it's like, just for perspective, I believe this is a little bit smaller than the space in a Model Y. I think a Model Y has a little bit more space in the back of it than this does, but this also looks like a smaller car than a Model Y. Definitely feels they saved some money on this kind of stuff because this feels, I don't want to say cheap, it just feels a little bit less premium than you would get in some of the other cars because usually when you pay more for a car, the money goes somewhere. It's not usually, we're long past name brands with cars, so when you're paying extra for a car, the materials are usually a lot better. Power closing trunk, that's always a great feature. And let's look at the back seat. Let's see how roomy it is back here. At the price point of this car, A Model Y does cost a little bit more than this, but not much. So that's going to be kind of a direct competitor. Looking at the inside here, they actually did put some pretty cool material here. And the doors are leather. They feel great. No big glass roof on this car. I don't know if it's an option or not, but you know, for most of the EVs these days, they tend to put a big glass roof on them, like the Taycan and the Teslas and the Lucid. They all have these big open air concepts with glass roofs, which actually I'm not mad about this. Like it's okay, right? Like maybe I'm a little biased because I'm happy to see a not big glass roof, because we tint them here, and it is very annoying to tint the giant glass roofs on a car. So it's swaying me from being a big fan of the glass roof, because if you imagine putting a 10-foot piece of film up on glass inside of a car and squeegeeing it flat with no dust or anything in it, it's pretty obnoxious. So happy to see this. Much easier to spray fabric protector up here than to tint. But it's roomy. This is comfortable. It's actually a great seating position too. I pick on the Lucid Air a little bit because I've always felt like I was sitting really close to the ground and there was no room for my feet to go underneath the chair in front of me. Even though that car has a tremendous amount of room in the back seat, it just felt a little off. This is totally fine. I could sit back here. Oh, it's got the cool light show too. The customer was telling me about this. It's actually really funny. The customer was so excited about this car, which makes sense. It's really neat. So this is something the EQS had, like the light show that you could change all the colors and everything on. So you can see even the speaker grill lights up on this one, which is pretty neat. And then you got some standard vents. You got a USB port. A little weird. They use the old school USB back here, not a USB-C. Kind of weird, but that's okay. I would have figured this car would have had a USB-C in it. Maybe it's got one up front. No, it just uses the older style USB ports. Cup holders, pretty cool. They look reasonably sized. This feels solid. And the material in here actually feels very nice too. It doesn't feel plasticky or anything, so that's good. Sometimes I notice in different models of cars that are, you know, Hyundais and Hondas and stuff, when they put leather in them, it doesn't quite feel like the heaven of a Mercedes leather or something. But again, there's a big price difference there, so I'm sure the money goes somewhere. There's a quality difference in some of the materials. Getting inside the car, this all feels familiar. This all feels very familiar to me. There's two big screens here. That's pretty simply laid out. You've got your gear shifter over here that's just a click knob, which is kind of neat. Start stop button, your brake, the steering wheel. It's like, it's funny when I look at the steering wheel, I almost feel like it's upside down, but it's not. It's I guess you would usually see the flat side on the bottom, but it's like they raise this up right here, so it's like, it doesn't feel uncomfortable to hold. It just looks upside down to me. I was fairly convinced that when Alex parked this car, he left the steering wheel upside down till just now, and I feel silly for thinking that because I should have more faith in Alex. He's stone cold right now. He's emotionless. It's pretty impressive. So starting it, put my foot on the brake, push start, the vehicle is on. Oh, I can't mess with any of this in it's got Blue Link. I can't mess with any of this stuff in valet mode though. That's okay. Looking at the display here, it looks like it just shows. This looks like a Tesla display, actually, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It looks like because it's got the lines in front of me, and so I'm assuming when I'm driving, this thing would probably show me staying between the lanes. I see drive mode here. Oh yeah, it's got like Distronic Cruise, so it's got some form of driver assistance or adaptive driving, or maybe auto. I don't know what they call it, but it's got, I see the distance control, the steering wheel holding. Pretty cool though overall. Like again, my favorite part of this car is just the way it looks. It looks really neat. And after talking to the owner, she told me she's absolutely amazed by it. It's her, she loves this thing, and she says it drives like a champ, so I'll take her word for it. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe with OC Detailing. Please subscribe for more videos.